What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So I just finished watching the first episode of season 3 of The Boys. I don't expect anything less. This episode was absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, starts off, everyone's kind of doing their own thing. Butcher's still working for the government. MM, unfortunately, is not with his wife anymore, which, that messed me up. Like, I don't like that. I want them to be together. But whatever. They're celebrating his daughter's birthday, which is fine. His wife has a new boo. I don't know if that's her new husband or boyfriend or whatever he is. Huey is working with a congresswoman. Still dating Starlight. Let's see. So everybody's kind of doing their own thing. Frenchie and Kimiko have to go to this party, undercover, of course. And at this party, you see a soup, I guess. This is like a wild, crazy party, apparently. This guy can make himself really, really small, then back to normal size. So we see him playing with a doll. You guys saw the episode. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then we see him going to a room with another guy. I don't know if the guy was a soup or not. But they're, sniffing stuff. And then all of a sudden you see them kind of making out. And one tries to kind of get some advances going and says, oh, I just need to have you in this certain way. And he makes himself really, really small. The guy is just like, I just need this specific thing. And the guy's like, okay. And he goes small. And then what I thought was one thing was another. And I'm trying to be as PG as possible. I can't. Oh, you guys have to see my reaction. Well, he makes his way inside this guy. And you have to go watch to find out how he makes his entrance. I was so not expecting that at all. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And apparently he is sneezing. So while he is in there, he sneezes. And literally when he sneezes, he blows the other guy up. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no way did this just happen in the way that it happened. So now Frenchie shows up to the room. He sees what happens. He's like, oh my God, okay, I'm leaving. Guy is like, nah, you ain't going nowhere. He turns small. Now he's trying to get through Frenchie's pants as small as he is. And he's like, oh my God, he's trying to get in my hands. Kimiko comes in and she's trying to help him. It was wild. Okay, so eventually Butcher comes in, catches the dude inside of a bag full of the white stuff, and he's shaking him inside of the bag. You know how you shake chicken inside of flour? That's exactly how he was shaking this dude. And apparently he was about to go, overdose or whatever, but they got him somewhere. Butcher not saved him, but he spared his life because he's working for the government, so he can't really do anything to anybody. So anyway, that happens, and I'm just like, oh my God. So I'm gonna kind of skip around a few parts or whatever because I'm not gonna, talk about the whole entire episode. But anyway, so now Butcher is still, of course, in contact with Ryan. He goes to see him. He is staying with Mallory. And when Ryan sees Butcher, he like runs to him. And, at one point you see Butcher kind of scrolling through his phone and he's like ordering. It looks like he's putting in an order, placing an order for a game, the game, Connect 4. And so he goes to see him and he runs out. He's like, Butcher. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. So he bought him a game. He's sitting there playing with him. So apparently, Ryan, who is, of course, Homelander's son, he's been having these nightmares about him. And he's been talking to Butcher about it and everything. And this time he says that the dream is a little more intense. And Butcher's assuring him, like, when you get older and stronger, this won't bother you anymore. Basically, you'll know what to do. So, you know, Butcher's basically trying to be as good as possible for his sake, but he is still Butcher. So Huey is seen, he's working with a congresswoman now. They're trying to figure out how to take down Vought. Meanwhile, it all starts off, this whole episode starts off with Vought and the whole city looking like it's burnt down, but of course it's, you know, it's a movie or whatever it is that they were doing in the last season, so they finally finished it and they saw it. And it's somebody else, I forget her name, but she's the chick from, I forgot her name. She's in one of the Fast and Furious movies, or two of them. Anyway, she's there as Stormfront or whatever. And at first I'm like, oh my gosh, no, she's not alive. She can't be. I thought she was, and she's not. It was all a movie or whatever. So anyway, Homelander is really going through it because his points are going down. Nobody's really caring about him. The Deep shows up, and he's apparently in this position that he got before Homelander, and he's trying to ask him, like, how did you get that before me? Like, what happened? And the Deep is just scared of him. And Homelander's not doing anything to him. And of course, what's her name? I don't know what her name is. I don't know if her name is Victoria. The one that's kind of managing all of them. She's kind of the boss, but not really. She's still, like, losing her hair, apparently. But she's always scared. Like, she's always scared. She knows what's going on, and she's just scared out of her mind. And at one point, you see her in the bathroom having sex with the director of this whole movie. And she's like, pull my hair. No, pull it out. And he pulls her hair out of her scalp. I'm like, what kind of kinky stuff are y'all into? Like, what? Whatever. But yeah, so that happens. Anyway, so now there is a meeting with I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's a congressman or somebody in law enforcement. I don't know what he is, but the guy who's running, the CEO, is running stuff now, Edgar, he's sitting down with this guy, and he introduces this temporary Compound V. They call it V something. So apparently it's green, it's not blue, and it turns you into a suit for 24 hours. All right? So I'm sure this is going to become very important later on. So now he's behind closed doors talking to this guy, and he's basically telling him, like, we need your soldiers to take this. And they're just going back and forth about that. So anyway, now Starlight is having a meeting with Homelander and Edgar. And Starlight, they put her in a position to give her, co-captain of the 7, and she does not want to take it. Homelander sitting there, lips quivering and everything, like, how could this happen? What are y'all doing to me? So he ends up getting excused from the meeting, and he's looking like, really? Like, is this really happening? Like, his whole life is just, like, in shambles right now. So, I think Starlight wants to take this opportunity. She talks to Huey about it, and this is finally her opportunity to do something good, to get on the inside or whatever. So, of course, Homelander's being a bully. He sees A-Train through the hallway. A-Train's just minding his business, drinking a milkshake, and he's asking him, what is that? Like, he's bullying him at this point because he's like, you're not running like you used to, but you're stuffing your face with all these sweets, and he's poking at his stomach like he's gaining weight and stuff. And then as he's walking away, A-Train's like, asshole, you know, and he turns around. He's like, what did you say? He's choking him out. And he's really just bullying him, basically. So Maeve sees this. Maeve texts someone and says, we need to meet. It ends up being Butcher. So she's trying to work with Butcher to try to take down this guy named Soldier, or figure out how he died, to try to figure out a way to kill Homelander. So she brings him this file. I don't know how she got it, but she brings him this file and she gives him 3 vials of this temporary V. And apparently there's this other team called Payback. And I guess he was part of it, or is part of it. So that's probably opening up another can of worms for later on. So anyway, Homelander's walking around. He's walking into this room where there is this hospital bed. And in the freaking hospital bed is freaking Stormfront's dumbass. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they kept this chick alive. I thought she was a goner. She is still around. And in true The Boys form, she's like, she's sitting there looking, it had me laughing because she's sitting there looking stupid. Like, she's laying there all burnt up. She's like, ew, let me make you feel better. So she goes to try to please Homelander. She's sitting there and you see her like shaking in the bed like she's doing whatever she does. And I'm like, no, they didn't do this in this episode. Like, are they serious? It actually had me laughing. Like, it was like, all right, you know what? Y'all doing the most at this point. Anyway, so yeah, she's apparently alive. I don't know why. I don't understand what they're going to do with her. They should have just let her go. But, of course, it makes for a great storyline. So, we have to see what they're going to do with her at this point. So, now, we see MM at some point. He's putting his daughter to sleep. He opens up a closet. He is still very much involved on his own. Like, he is keeping track of everything. He's got, like, this whole wall closet filled with all this information and files and everything. So he's kind of doing his own thing, even though he walked away from the group. Butcher is still being Butcher. So at one point, Homelander shows up at Butcher's house. He's basically trying to get Butcher to kind of work with him, to kind of do stuff at Vought. And he's like, aren't you tired of this? And of course, Butcher's going to take advantage of it. And it's like the closer he can get to killing him, the better. So, I guess that's kind of opening up another little story with them two. So then towards the end of this crazy behind episode, just like I thought, there's this guy who keeps looking for the Congresswoman and keeps calling her by the name of Nadia. Now, this guy's name is Tommy. I don't remember. I forgot that fast. But anyway, he's been kind of looking for her. So at the end of this, you see Huey and her, they're parting ways. They're going home. Work is done. She's walking, and here he comes out of nowhere. Nadia. He's calling after her. So Huey being Huey, mind you, he's working clean. He wants to work with the Congresswoman. He wants to do things the right way without, blood and guts and all this crazy stuff happening around him. So Huey, it's been a year. We found out that it has been a year since all of this went down. So they're all kind of trying to do things the right way. So now Huey follows her because he sees that the guy's calling after her. So, of course, he's going to kind of figure out what's what. And he ends up finding them in this alleyway. And she knows who this guy is. She knows who he is. And, of course, we found out more about this Congresswoman because they're in this hallway, they're in this alleyway, and he's like, this is our chance to tell our story. We were best friends. And she was like, I know, but, she was like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, I can't. She was like, okay, fine. Like, he's like, this is my chance to tell my story about what happened to me. Not quite sure who he is. He's apparently, I'm assuming, another soup. So she gives him a hug and his nose starts bleeding. Now, if you guys remember, when this happened to Raina's nose started bleeding. Everybody's nose apparently starts to bleed before their head pops off. And he apparently knows this chick enough to know that he's trying to back himself away from her. And she's a soup. This congresswoman is a soup. She does something with her eyes. She makes things explode with her eyes. So he's like backing her up and she kind of shoots, I guess, his hand. He's trying to now grab her face and try to gouge her eyes out or whatever. And she ends up kind of being able to kind of get one of his hands off of her eyes. And she's attacking him again with her eye. So he's like all shot up at this point. And, you know, she's like, man, like, I wish you would have never came to look for me. And Huey is just behind a dumpster watching all of this. And I'm like, oh my God, poor Huey. Then she's standing there. She stands up. She looks at him. And of course, she literally just turns him into mush. Just explodes. Guts all over the place. Huey's behind the dumpster. It's got blood spots all over. I'm like, oh, poor Huey. Here he goes again. Here he goes again, having blood and guts all over him. I don't know who she calls on the phone, but she's like, I need a team or whatever. I'm in trouble. She tells them exactly where she is, but then she goes away. So I don't know what team she called. I don't know if her team knows that she's a soup. I don't know if they're in on. I don't know what's about to happen at this point. But so many boxes were opened up in this episode. And of course, you know, we're going to continue to find out what happens with each one. But anyway, I don't know. I feel like eventually MM and Huey are going to get back on the team with Butcher, and they're going to just take on a whole bunch of more different tasks, especially with this whole new temporary V happening. And if Butcher's going to go against this team, he's got to take this temporary V, and I don't know what it's going to do to him or what kind of powers he's going to have. So we're just going to have to find out. But those are just my thoughts for the first episode of Season 3 of The Boys. Leave your comments down below. Let me know if you enjoyed my thoughts and my review. Let me know what you guys thought of Episode 1 of Season 3 of The Boys. Go watch my reaction. Yeah. And if you haven't done so, subscribe to my channel. Hit like, share, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you guys can get notified whenever I pop up on your feed. I'll see you guys later. Toodles!